Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Treaty LPC, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. I have a special guest with me this week, and he is going to be sharing a little bit about his personal and professional story regarding how he's able to help students and educators across the country and across the world. His name is Eric Jones Jr. He is a podcast host of the Underdawg Talk. He's a basketball coach, an author, and a professional speaker, and he's here to tell a little bit about his journey through life and the things about his life that causes him to identify with the idea of being self-aware and effed up. So without further ado, please welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Mr. Eric Jones Jr. Hey, Eric, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know we had a little mix up with the time, with me just working too fast, my brain, but I appreciate you accommodating me still and taking time to share some space with me today. So I read a little bit about you just kind of in your bio that you sent, but I just want you to start off by telling the audience a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into doing what you do so well.
All right. So I was born with a rare disease called club hands. So that makes my arm shorter than everybody else. So everybody has two bones in their arm. I don't have the main bone, the radius bone. So it wasn't something genetic. It just happened. God picked me out, one out of a million people to be that way.
Oh, wow.
So when I was born, it was a shock to everybody. I was born in the 80s. So back then, the ultrasound, it didn't really show if you was having a boy or girl, just knew you was having a baby. So I popped. It's like, oh, wait a minute. We never saw anything like this before. So it actually doctors 24 hours to go research and come back and tell my parents what my situation, the pros and cons of it. So it so happened to be a hospital. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Shriners. So it helps kids that have disabilities, mental and physical. And they so happen to be in the hospital at the time. I'm from a small town, Michigan City, Indiana. So they're out of Chicago. So one of their people so happened to be in the hospital, and that's how I was able to get all my surgeries because they funded. Like if I wasn't able to go to Shriners, I wouldn't have got none of the surgeries because surgeries cost millions. It would have cost millions of dollars because I had to get over different surgeries. So growing up, it was different. My mom and my sister, and my dad, they never really treated me different, but the world treated me different. So it was being a black man or a black kid in America, but then also having a disability. So I had people picking on me and stuff like that. But basketball is what kind of made me who I am today because I love basketball. And I was like, man, I'm tired of watching other people. Let me go out here and try it out.
Okay.
And tried it out and I was good at it. So my confidence on the basketball court triggered confidence in real life. So it was, I got to the point where it was like, man, I'm human just like you are. You bleed just like I bleed. Like, okay, you crack jokes, I'm gonna crack jokes. Okay, you want to get physical. I really ain't a physical person, but I'm not no punk either. Okay. So that's kind of how the younger part went. School, I didn't like it. Yeah, I got bad grades. I ended up graduating with a 1.7 GPA. So school just wasn't for me. I only got to try out for the basketball team once because my grades were so bad. So life kind of hit me when I turned 18 because it was okay, go to college, which I was able to. One college out of all the colleges in the world except me. So I was able to go to college, and when you turn 18, you're supposed, if you got a disability, you're supposed to get that check, that disability check. I couldn't get the check because I was able to work, but I have ability. What are we saying here? People can go to work like you could go to a job, hurt your back, now you get a disability check. But the person that's born with a disability can't get the disability check. So I never really wanted it, but my mom was like, try to go get it, it'll help you out.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
I went to school, dropped out twice. Really didn't, I was just living life. I really didn't care. I just lived life, going through the motion. And then I ended up moving back home with my mom for a little hot second. Then I moved here to Indianapolis with my cousins. And that was a little journey. Just finding who I was, because I was 25. So just finding out who I was. And then I ended up dating my ex-wife. And then she had a daughter, so that her daughter became my daughter. And then we had a son. So I had a family. That's nice. We moved to the suburbs. We both got good jobs, but then we got divorced. So after the divorce, so let me go back. So when my son was born, that's when life changed for me. It was like, okay, this little joker depends on me. It's like I already had my daughter, but she wasn't mine, so I didn't get to cut the umbilical cord. I wasn't there. I didn't, all that.
Yeah.
When he came out, it was like I got to change my life. I got to do something different. And so, you know who Eric Thomas is?
I kind of have heard the name, but you're gonna have to.
Have seen a video of him. So he had a video on Facebook and he was yelling at me. I'm like, why is this dude yelling at me? Like, the way that he talks is powerful. And then I was like, okay, let me check his stuff out. So I joined his community, and then people heard about my story. They're like, you should speak. Speak? What you talking about? What is that? Speaking? I don't know what that is. And so it happened so quick. It was like, okay, learn about speaking. It was in July or August. By November, I had my first speaking gig. So that it was like, oh wow, people like this. I can impact people. I like to talk anyway. So then I started figuring that out. So that started the journey in 2016 when I started speaking, and then I became a co-author in a book, Pioneers. What I forgot I forgot what the book is because it was like a phase. Okay. So it was like book, boom. I never went back to it. So I can't remember, and that's horrible. But so I did that, and then I ended up I needed a job. I had got fired from my one job because I was speaking. I was missing work too much. I was what I love to do. So I wasn't really tripping. So I got a teacher assistant job. And that's how I got into school. I started in special education, and then at some point we got a divorce, and I had to start all over. And when I mean all over, just me, my clothes.
Wow.
So got a place, ended up getting evicted. So I'm like living couch to couch. I even stayed with my ex-wife as we were going through our divorce, which was some of the most painful stuff ever because I seen her talking to a guy and just all kind of craziness. So I ended up getting a spot. I ended up like getting a car. Like life just changed because I got myself together. I started working on me because God stripped everything away from me, my family, like everything. So it was just me and God. And that's kind of like I started the podcast. Well, I started a podcast when I started speaking because I had a radio show, right? Okay. But it was like I was motivating. It wasn't me. I'm ratchet. I cuss a little bit. I talk about everything. I'm funny, and I was just trying to motivate. So I switched it to It's a Jones thing because that's me. Co-host, and one of my co-hosts passed away in a tragic accident. So we stopped. And then that's how I started Underdawg Talk because I'm like, I'm the underdog. I've always been I've been the underdog since the day I came out the womb. And I like to talk, and I want to eventually make it to a talk show. So that's kind of sums up me in the short version, but that's kind of, life, overcoming my disability, and then just overcoming life as a Black man. So it's different when you're a Black man, but then you have a disability because people treat you different in both aspects.
Right. Yeah. Wow. You have a really, really powerful story, and I can definitely understand why people encourage you to speak and kind of share your story and motivate and help others. Just all of the things that you've gone through. I'm sure that, you found strength in those things. In terms of like, you mentioned that, when you were growing up, you dealt with a lot of bullying, you dealt with having to kind of figure out how to navigate life, and basketball was kind of your outlet, it seems like. What would you say to other people who see themselves as the underdog? Like, what advice would you give to them in terms of being able to just kind of, in terms of sharing your story, but also being able to motivate them? How do you do that in terms of your speaking?
Really, everybody's an underdog. Like, really look at it at some point in your life, you're an underdog. It don't matter if you look up to LeBron, Steph, Tom Brady, they all were underdogs. Like nobody believed in them. Nobody thought at some point didn't, and they went to the lab and they put in the work. That's what I did. Like nobody but my friends knew I could hoop till I started busting people's ass. And then they realized he can really hoop. He's not just the kid with the short arms. Oh, he gonna come and bust our head. So this was going to the lab. It was just figuring out, okay, I know my arms are different, but how can I hoop? How can I make these buckets? How can I do this? And the same thing with speaking. Like I'm in the lab. Same thing with podcasting. I'm in the lab. You have to put in the work to be able to go out there and say, I'm an underdog, but I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove me right, but I'm gonna prove you wrong. And it's all about hard work and believing yourself. And I tell people this all the time. Everybody didn't like Jesus. Everybody not gonna like you.
Right.
Like, everybody not gonna like you. Everybody not gonna support you. Everybody not gonna be like, woohoo, you doing this. So there's 8 billion people in the world. There's enough people in the world that's gonna like you, support you, and get you where you supposed to. So just continue to be yourself and put in the work. Like, it's gonna be days where you want to give up. Like, it's days now that I wanted to give up, like, all this stuff. Like, it ain't really working. But you got to keep pushing, and you got to have a why. You got to have a reason of why you're doing it. My reason is my kids, and then I just want to be a person to leave a legacy that I change the world. So it's like, it's bigger than me. So when you feeling those days that you down, your why will pick you up. And that's really like the underdog. Like, you got to believe in yourself first, and then you got to put in the effort, and then you just got to trust the process. So you got to bet on yourself. And if you bet on yourself 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, you're going to get the results you want.
Wow. So do the work is the bottom line of it all. Get in the lab, do the work, and believe in you is kind of the key things that I heard there is really being able to push yourself. Was anybody in your life really supportive of you doing that part of your journey? Because I know support really is something that can be a key factor in whether someone moves forward or whether they stay stagnant.
So when it came to basketball, no. Like, I don't even know if my mom really know if I can hoop like that. Like, she's came to a couple games and, stuff like that, but she's never really seen me hoop. My sister, she wasn't into sports. Like, my homies, I was just a regular guy. So basketball, no, I didn't have that support. So my biological dad passed away, and my sister's dad was my dad. So, we would play basketball every now and then, but he never really my games or anything. So the basketball aspect, I didn't have no support. It's like they knew I liked basketball. They had signed me up and dropped me off, but it wasn't like they come into the game, they had to work. So when it comes to speaking, I definitely have got the support. I had the support of my ex-wife, my kids, still kind of her. My mom's always been my number one supporter. And just strangers. Strangers, like when you get in communities and people see what you're doing, it's like I get more support or more encouragement from people that I've never met in my life than people that are around me. And that pushes me more because it's like, this person don't even know me. And they say that. So that's the support. The support is getting around winners. Like, when you're around winners, they're going to be like, I see you. And it's going to be like, I see you, but okay, oh, you made that? Okay, now I got to go and make more than that. And it's not a competition, but it's a competition. It's more like, okay, he winning over there. Okay, you got seven incomes over there. I only got 5. How do you get 7? Okay, I did that. It's like getting around the people that think like you and want to be like you or do the things you do, and then that's how you get the support. So I would say no as a kid, but yes as an adult.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. So yeah, I think community is a really big thing. And a lot of people sometimes feel like they lack that, but it seems like you've been able to kind of build a community for yourself and you've used that to kind of thrive. In terms of like how you help people, like students, for example, you said you help students and educators. How do you do that through your work? What does that look like?
So I go speak and go to, depending on what the topic is, most of the time I tell my story or tell a version of it just to give them like a background of somebody that really started in the trenches of life. And it just depends on what I'm talking about with the kids. So I'm about to speak this month to 8th graders going to 9th grade. So it's like talking to them about a new environment, believing in themselves, starting a foundation of what kind of student you're going to be in your freshman year, so you can carry that along. So it just depends on what it is. I'm very transparent. I'm very vulnerable. I'm gonna talk. I can't tell you something I read because I don't read. I'm only gonna tell you about my life, and I'm tell you how I got through it. I remember being a freshman, or I remember a time where it's like a new environment. For me, getting a new job is like becoming a freshman, because it's, then I have, especially working in school, you get kids, oh, why are your arms short? You get that for about 2 months after school year. Kids ask you, then people, get to know you, then like, oh yeah, you cool. So it's really just me being transparent and helping the old me, which is the kids that I talk to. And with educators now being in the schools, like a lot of them miss opportunities to help kids because they're so focused on curriculum. They're so let's get these grades, but you don't know little man sleeping on a mattress. The only time he eat is when he come to school. Or you ain't noticed that his clothes is dirty. He ain't probably took a shower in 4 days. Or little Keisha hair messed up. Or I done had a student that parents probably was on drugs. Like you understand, like these kids are going through shit.
Right.
And you just expect a kid to come in and do their job. You as an adult go to work, and if you having a bad day, like you have a bad day, but the kids can't have a bad day.
Right. Yeah.
So just being really transparent with educators, because I see a lot of dumb stuff that goes on in the schools and how people how they treat kids, and it's like you got to manage your life first. You got to get organized so then you can organize the kids. Because if your life is in the chaos, you come to school, it's a chaos. Because some people don't leave it at the door. Like you got to leave it at the door. It's been time I done went speaking, and I think I did a photo shoot with my son. I didn't have no place to live, nothing. I'm just on the couch, but we had the opportunity to do a photo. Like you got to leave stuff at the door when you going to do stuff to help other people or better somebody else's. So that's the kind of stuff that I am. I'm very real, raw, and honest. So I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm the cup of tea that you need to drink if you want to get to the.
All right, cup of tea. I'm here for it. Yes. So I appreciate your vulnerability, and being able to share your story with others to help them, because a lot of times we live in an age where a lot of people like to hide behind things on social media. They post a highlight reel. They don't really deal with, okay, yeah, I went through homelessness. Oh yeah, I went through, a divorce that was not really easy to go through. I went through all of these struggles. I overcame, being born with a physical limitation and having to go through surgeries. Like a lot of people don't want to hide, behind the glitz, the glam, and all of that stuff that we put out there in the world. And I love that you get so raw and to the point of really being able to uncover those things so that you can help, like you said, the older version of you, the younger version of you, which is these kids that you help motivate. So I love what you do. You said earlier, and I definitely want to kind of go back there. You said a little bit earlier about some of those tough times. And I know that you share, with me prior to us booking you to come on the show, about a time in your life where you were struggling and kind of at that limit. And I know suicide, and that's a little bit difficult to talk about for some people, but are you comfortable with kind of sharing a little bit about those low points that maybe they could help someone else that may be experiencing those type of thoughts?
Yeah. It's happened plenty of times throughout life. It happened like 2 times as a kid, I attempted to, it just didn't work out. Obviously I'm still here. But it's points, I ain't gonna lie, within the last year I've thought of that. Like, but it's where you have to realize you gotta go through it. You gotta go through your go through to get to where you want to. And it sucks. And sometimes, like you were saying earlier with community, I have community, but a lot of times I'm by myself. And you can't do it by yourself. You gotta have friends, you gotta have people you can talk to. You gotta have God. I don't know if everybody believe in God, but I do. So, and that's one thing that I realized when I was by myself. Like it's just me and him. Like I need word. I need to pray. I need to ask him what I need to do first instead of going on social media and looking and seeing that. Because I, like you said earlier, like social media has a lot to do with how people are. And when you're going through it, you can go and you look and, ooh, they over there, they got this. Ooh, she got a new this. And then you looking at your life, I ain't got shit. Like, you just looking around and it's like, man, skip this. But you got to go through that. You can't look at somebody else's journey. Your journey is your journey. And it's times where it's like, you just gotta talk to yourself. I talk to myself. Sometimes I cuss myself out. Sometimes I, like lift myself up. But sometimes you gotta be like, hey, you gotta get your shit together. All right, you going and one of the things that when you're at your low points, you gotta look at why you're there. You can't point the finger because you made the choices that got you there. So for me, it was like, okay, why is my bank account looking like this? Let me go and look at everything that, I'm spending money over here. And you got to face reality. Like, when you're at that low point, I know it sucks. I know you want to, maybe end your life, but you can't crash out, because the moment you think you about to crash out, it could be the moment that door open for you. It could be where the next 6 months is the greatest 6 months of your life, or that next phone call you get change your life with your bank account or whatever. So it's more so of understanding there's people that need you, because if you give up, they gonna give up. And that's how I look at it. Like, if I don't keep pushing, my son will give up. If I don't keep pushing, my daughter will give up. My mom will give up. My sister might give up. Or the people that watch me and look at my videos and stuff, they might give up. So it's more about you. Your life is always more about you. So when you're at that low point, think of somebody that depends on you, and then go face reality. Go look in the mirror and really look at yourself. Look inside yourself and see what's wrong, what's the matter, and go pray and open your word. That's what I did, and that's what helps me when I'm at those low points. Talk to somebody that can help you. Talk to somebody that ain't gonna judge you either, because you can go talk to family members or people, and they'll judge you off of what's going wrong with you instead of trying to help you and fix what's going wrong with you.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think that is, really, really solid advice in terms of really, telling people to push through. I work in suicide prevention, and it's something that, we see a lot, but a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about, the fact that it is not uncommon to experience suicidal thoughts. It's not uncommon to have those low points, but the difference is, like, are you going to allow yourself to stay in that place, or are you going to do things to motivate you to move from that place? And so I think it's really, really good that you're open about sharing that. We talk about, we don't talk about it too much on this show, but I always think it's important, sometimes for people to hear, you're not alone in that space. We all experience some form of depression or some form of anxiety from time to time. And so, I'm all about normalizing just mental health in general. So I appreciate you being open and kind of sharing and motivating others around that particular topic. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to ask you the question of the hour. How do you connect with the idea of being self-aware and effed up? What is your, how do you identify with that?
I really don't give a fuck what people think.
Okay.
It took a while to, like, with self-aware and just loving myself. I think that's the first thing, is like to love yourself and understand your strengths, your weaknesses, what you do and don't like, and those things. And that's how you're self-aware. And then I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, I'm a little off. Like, that's just me. So I really don't care what people think. And I think when you get to that point, you live life freely and you get to do the things you want to do. And I just don't care. Like I said earlier, people didn't like Jesus, and Jesus was Jesus. So if they didn't like Jesus, everybody ain't gonna like me. So I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with being Eric Jones Jr. Like, it's gonna take like somebody told me this past school year, it's gonna take a strong woman to deal with me. Yeah, I know I'm a little off. You just gotta be okay with yourself, and not saying that I'm a little off or like I can't do stuff. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think like it. I don't process life like everybody else. And I question a lot of stupid stuff, that traditional stuff. Like, I just be me. And when you're yourself, you live life freely and you don't care what nobody else is. And I teach the same thing to my kids. I just got to teach my son how to have a filter. He just don't got no filter, but that's the same thing. Like, just be yourself and and life will happen for you. Because I think people don't realize more people like real than they like fake.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I could definitely relate to that. I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too. So I'm there for you with that. But I think that, you know, that the real definitely attracts real and authenticity. And a lot of people kind of want to filter their life. We're so caught up on filters just in general. Everybody got to filter their pictures. They got to do all of that. But life ain't always pretty and perfect. There's those dark parts of it that really kind of force us to really see who we are. And if you're stuck in those dark places, if you don't like who you are, you're really in a world of trouble. So, well, Mr. Jones, I appreciate your time today. But before we do our outro, I just wanted to see, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience?
It's okay to feel like nobody believes in you, long as you believe in yourself, and go do what you love to do. A lot of times, we as people, we do stuff because our friends do it, our family said to do it, but that's not something that you love to do. Find out what you love to do and go do it. And stop caring what people think. Dress how you want to dress, get your hair cut crazy, whatever you want to do, just be you. Because when you love you and you yourself, the world will love you more than when you're being yourself, when you're trying to be something else. So bet on yourself and believe in yourself.
Okay, you heard it, guys. Bet on yourself and believe in yourself. So, Eric, how can people connect with you, follow you, get your information?
On social media, Eric Jones Jr. Speaks on Instagram. And then Underdawg Talk. And Underdog is spelled UNDERDAWG Talk. Really, if you put Underdawg Talk spelled like that on Google, you'll find me with everything. So just Underdawg Talk on all platforms. YouTube, all platforms on podcasts. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter. Just type in Underdawg Talk. That's how you'll find me.
Nice, nice. I see you got UT on your shirt. I'm assuming that's so Underdawg Talk as well. So
yeah, sure. So I gotta rep Underdawg Talk.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming to speak with me and being so open and vulnerable with the audience. I know that, you know, it's not always easy to share your story, but it sounds like for you, you've kind of made that your business to make sure you educate others. So I appreciate you and your vulnerability and your openness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of being on here. And I love the art. Is that artwork or is that just drawings in the background?
It's artwork. Yes.
I love the artwork. I love art. I love those pictures. I was looking at them.
All right. Well, shout out to Art by Java House. If anybody is looking at the art in the background, is interested in purchasing any of it, just throwing that out there since you brought it up. But no, I appreciate you. Thank you for the compliments on the art. You guys, make sure that you guys connect with Eric, follow him on all social media platforms, and listen to the Underdawg Talk podcast. Also, be sure to follow me, Treaty LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Treaty LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.